Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Spiritforged value review. This one is going to be for Fury, aka Angie. We're doing all 6 domains that we're starting at the top with our good friend Fury here. So let's take a look-see at my grading criteria. Let's take a look. So I've got a little bit of a different evaluation criteria for these cards. Not necessarily how good is this card now, how is it going to do in current meta. For reference, this video is being shot after the final week of the Chinese regional opens in Nanjing. So I've got a little bit of an idea of how cards are doing now, but I'm also going to be making a read. So that's going to be playability. I'm also going to be making a read on potential. How good do I think that these cards could be? How good do these effects seem like they will scale into future sets with more cards? Peculiarity is another one here. That is, how unique of an effect does a card provide? So on the top of the scale, a card that would be a 5 from Origins would be Baited Hook. That card is a very unique effect, is a very peculiar effect. It is the only card that is doing that sort of effect. On the other end of the scale, something like Mountain Drake, which is literally just big dude, no abilities. It's not a very peculiar card. It's, I guess, kind of peculiar in how it's big and how big it is, but not really. And then playset is how many copies of the card will a deck that wants to run that card run. So you may see a card that's not really playable right now, but it could still be a play set of 3, because if you're going in with the assumption that you're playing the card, how many cards would a deck want to have? So it's a little bit of a different scale. It's taking into effect not just how good the card is now or how good I think it will be in a near future meta, but what is the value of this card? And you can maybe extrapolate that to how much this card is worth for trade value, etc. How much do you want to pick up this card now when it's cheap? And maybe we'll get better and vice versa. So without further ado, let's jump on in. Starting with our first card in Angie here, it is Assembly Rig. It is playability, not seeing any play right now, so that's a 1 out of 5. Potential, I don't really see this as a super strong effect, so I'm giving it a 2. Maybe there's a red deck that wants to recycle units, and that gets value out of that. Maybe the mechs are better in the future. Having more just generic mechs is going to be better, but right now I don't even see it being super good. Peculiarity, it does give you a recurable recycle effect, which is relatively novel. There's only a few cards that do that. It gives you a repeatable token generator as well, so I could see it. And then playset, I do think that if you want to play this card, it is probably a pivotal part of your deck. I don't know that deck may even ever exist, but I do think that this is the type of card that you probably want multiple copies of. So I'm giving it a 3 out of 3 for playset. That's going to give it a score of 9. Next, we've got Draven Vanquisher, already seeing a ton of play. It's a 5 out of 5 for playability. Potential, I don't actually see this card getting much better than it is right now. I think it is essentially, and this ties into peculiarity as well, it is essentially just a big dude, some semi-value generator. It's not doing anything particularly crazy other than being a 6 might unit for 4, which is good, but can get outscaled or side scaled, I guess. So I'm not seeing a ton of added value in the long run, and it's not doing a particularly unique thing. And then playset, yeah, we're already seeing it. It wants 3 copies. It's just the best 4-drop you can be running right now in red, unless you specifically need the draw off of Kaisa. It's really good. It's going to give Draven a score of 12. Up next, we got Ferris Forerunner, the Baby Bot Blevs. Right there, we, of course, did reveal this card on the Turn Sideways channel. This is playability. We're already seeing a 5 out of 5. Potential, I do think that this card maybe has some longevity. I think at the end of the day, it is just a bunch of stats, which is good, but may get, again, outscaled by something that has a more unique effect. Something that's doing something faster, doesn't have accelerate. This is like the definition of mid-range guy, which is fine, but I think long-term that is not necessarily going to scale. Peculiarity, again, right now, it is one of the few units that you play as a big unit and dies into the same exact amount of might. So it is actually quite hard to deal with. Really, only bounce effects and I guess kind of push effects are going to deal with it entirely. So it is a bit peculiar. And then we're already seeing, again, a lot of decks are running 3 copies. This is between a 2 and 3, but It's going to be our currently highest scoring card at a 13 here for Ferris Forerunner. Up next, we got the Longsword. Playability, I think it's pretty playable. We're seeing it, we're seeing Spinning Axe be played more than it, but it certainly has seen play here and there. So I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. Potential, I do think, I'm not going to, it's not that good. It's very basic. I do think that maybe we'll see equipment champs and equipment legends in the future, like Rel or maybe Riven, that may be red and may want Longsword. But who knows? So I'm giving it a 2 out of 5 on potential. Peculiarity, like there's so many cards that just are a combat buff in red. You've got a ton. There's also a bunch of equipment and, another red-based equipment deck, namely Lucian, not even running the card for the most part. So I'm giving it a 1 on peculiarity. If you want +2 to a unit, you can find it. And then playset, again, it's 2 and a power. If it didn't cost a power, I think this would be a vastly different discussion, but 2 and a power is a steep cost to pay. So I don't think we're seeing the full playset jammed, even in a deck that wants to run the card. That's going to give it a score of 9. Next, we've got Piercing Light. Playability, seen a decent amount of play, sort of an alternative, a slightly different Falling Star. Give it a 3 out of 5. Potential, again, this is maybe the way that the damage is dealt up and the fact that you don't need to pay or you don't need to repeat it, but also you can repeat it. Maybe that gives it some flexibility in the long term, but I'm not seeing it. It's a pretty straightforward effect. Peculiarity, again, there's a bunch of effects that can do damage to units, even units in the back line. Again, Falling Star is the direct comparison, but there's bigger ones. There's I guess technically kind of smaller ones in Bellows Breath, so not particularly unique. And then playset, again, 2 and a power is a tough cost to pay if you're not Kaisa, and even Kaisa I don't believe is running the full set of Piercing Lights, if any at all. I'll give it an 8 overall. Up next is Rel, and this is a card that I think is going to be rated. My scale is going to show, this card is going to show how my scale is quite different than I think a lot of people are rating cards in general. So playability right now, it's not really seeing any play. 2 out of 5. Week 0, week 1, we saw it get jammed in there when people were running Draven with just every 4-drop you can imagine. Rel allows you to cheat in, the different 2-cost equipments. That's great. But really not seeing too much play right now. I think there still potentially could see it in some decks. Potential though, it is a potential and peculiarity. I'm giving a 4 on both. While there is the limiter of she cheats in an equipment that costs no more than 2. So there's a bit of a limiter there on how broken she can be. She is cheating something into play. We could theoretically see equipments in the future that cost 2 energy, but like 4 or 5 or 10 power. We could see that be a balancing mechanism that the devs use to keep a card fair in terms of its cost. It's just another dial that we haven't really seen outside of like Punch First is the first sort of dip into that, where it's 1 energy, 2 power. We could see something that is really, really strong but costs a ton of power. So you never know. And she would be able to cheat that into play because you get to ignore the full cost, just can't cost more than 2 energy. So I'm keeping that in note. And that's where this potential and peculiarity are coming into play. And I think if you're playing a deck that wants Rel, you're probably going to want 3. If you want that effect, it is an effect that is probably pretty pivotal to what you're doing. So it's going to give her a 13 overall, which is quite high. For a card that's probably going to be like $1 or $2 if I had to guess. I am going to be trying to pick up my playset of Rels here early before stuff from new sets gets revealed. And maybe this is a card that anytime an equipment that costs 2 comes out, people are gonna be like, oh, how does this work with Rel? So, up next we got Rengar, playability 3 out of 5. We just saw the Annie that won Nanjing running between the main and side, 3 copies of Rengar. Potential, I do think that reaction on a unit is something that they will keep novel. Maybe that won't be forever, but we only see 1 other unit with reaction. I guess we do see 2, Janna and Shen, but I think it's going to be novel. It's going to be for specific reasons that people are running, or that the devs are putting reaction on a unit. It's not just going to be a thing that's on everything. Peculiarity, again, there's not a lot of units that you can play as an attacker. It plays around the purple push spells, the bounce spells, like your unit gets bounced or pushed. You go, okay, that resolves. The showdown's still happening. I'm still technically attacking. I'm going to play the Rengar here. I'm going to get my assault 2. I'm going to be a 5. Like, it's really powerful, especially against purple right now. So I'm liking it. Then playset again. I'm kind of giving sideboard half credit. I do think that this is more of a sideboard card because it costs 3 in a power rather than a full-blown run 3 in the main, but I do think that it does deserve high marks for that. So I'm giving it a 2 out of 3 there for playsets. It's going to give an overall score of 11 for Rengar. Up next, we got Rumble, hot-headed. Playability right now, really not that great. We're not seeing Rumble do too much other than if people are wanting to play budget Kai'Sa. Well, if people want to play different Kai'Sa for a metal card, maybe we'll see Rumble, but for the most part, not. That's a 2 out of 5 in playability. Potential, though, I do think every time a mech comes out, we're going to be looking at how it improves the Rumble deck. And I do think that this Rumble is a very good one to run. Peculiarity, I'm actually going to give it even higher marks here because the second When I Conquer, you may recycle another friendly unit to play a mech from your trash. That is a very unique effect. You know, being able to reanimate units like that is very, very strong. And then again, if you're running a mech deck, you're probably going to want a full play set of this Rumble, which is going to give Rumble a rounded out score of 12. Up next, we got our first epic here in Dunebreaker. Playability 2 out of 5, not seeing it. It's not really, it's just not seen play right now. Potential, and tied into peculiarity, like it's got 2 non-peculiar effects, but when you smash them together, it's kind of peculiar. So I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. It's not super unique. Like if you have 2 or fewer cards, I enter ready. That's not super crazy. And when I hold draw 2, like those 2 abilities, like this card feels like it's battling against itself, but sometimes that works out. But I'm not seeing it. In playset, I don't think we're going to be seeing a full complement here. I'm giving it a 2 out of 3, but that may be generous. Rounded out score of 9 for Dunebreaker. Up next, we've got Lucian Gunslinger. Playability right now, 2 out of 5. I do think it has a bigger potential to be better as more equipment come out, as the Lucian decks sort of get more rounded out and have more options. So I'm giving it a 3. Peculiarity, again, the only other card we really see with this effect is Green Yasuo, and that's a very strong card. This is obviously a lot cheaper, does a bit of a different thing. It's cheaper but weaker, but you can make this even better, potentially even faster than the Yasuo. So I'm giving it a peculiarity of 4, and the playset 2 out of 3. May even be like, if you're running a deck that is built around Gunslinger, you probably do want 3, so I could even see it going higher. But as it stands right now, it's getting a rounded out score of 11. Next up is Rek'Sai Breacher. Playability right now, it's a 2 out of 5. I could see it being a 3 out of 5 right now. We are seeing the Phoenix Rek'Sai decks. We're seeing some Hook Rek'Sai. There's glimmers of decks floating out there in the tier 2, tier 3 space right now for Rek'Sai, but potential, I'm giving this one the full-blown 5 out of 5. This is a baited hook type of card. It has and to tie into peculiarity, has a very unique effect. Giving things that don't normally have accelerate, the ability to have accelerate is very strong. Every time a unit in Rek'Sai colors comes out, we're going to be looking at, what happens if this card has accelerate? You know, I almost want to, there's not really a way to set it up, but I want to be able to give Yone accelerate. Rek'Sai has an ability to do that. There are better ways, but you know, looking at every card that comes out and be like, what if I pair this with Fury and give it accelerate? Well, Rek'Sai lets you live that dream. So potential, this card could be broken wide open, it could be a centerpiece to a deck. It's doing a very unique thing. It can be your chosen champion. And that, you know, for all those reasons, place that 3 out of 3. This is going to be our current highest rated card with a rounded out score of 15 for Rek'Sai. Honestly, if it was in a tier 1 deck right now, I could have gotten the full 18, but cannot in good conscience give it. And the last card for this portion of the review is going to be Skyfall of Arian. Very similar story to Rek'Sai. Right now, not seeing a ton of play, though. Is a mainstay in the current versions of Lucian, which are like a tier 2, tier 2.5 deck. So playability not really there. Potential, again, every time we see a new card revealed that has a conquer or hold effect and can be paired with red, we're going to be looking and saying what happens if it has Skyfall equipped to it. How busted is it at that point? So potential. This is the baited hook of the set in my mind. Well, it's one of actually the many baited hooks of the set in my mind. There will be more, as you will see throughout this review, but peculiarity, again, nothing is doing anything close to this effect right now. And then playset, if you're running a deck that's running the combo, the current iterations of combo, or in the future that this is a combo piece, yeah, you're going to want the full playset. This is another 15 for Skyfall. So Rek'Sai and Skyfall, probably not going to be the most expensive cards. They're not the most tier 1 playable cards right now in these colors, but in my view, I think they have some of the biggest upside potential, especially if they come out and they're not super expensive. I'm picking up the Skyfall specifically to play in my deck that I'm playing right now, but I'm purposely playing a non-tier 1 deck. But Rek'Sai's, I'm also going to be looking to pick up my playset of Rek'Sai's in the same way that I was looking to pick up my playset of hooks, even if I wasn't necessarily going to play them. And I might play them together, honestly. But we shall see. That is going to be it for this section of the review. Again, thank you for everyone who is a Metafy patron here. Really does help me out, helps us create more content here for the Riftbound Decks Metafy. Thank you everyone who is watching on YouTube and TikTok as well. Again, please do like, comment, subscribe. I am going to be, this is going to initially go out. This was available first on the Riftbound Decks Metafy. And then of course, if you're seeing this on YouTube, was eventually made available on YouTube. But if you want to get these types of bigger pieces early, make sure to subscribe over at the Riftbound Decks Metafy, the Bilge Rat tier. You'll get these things even earlier. But I couldn't hold this one back. I couldn't hold it back. If you don't want to subscribe, but you do want to get the guide earlier, you can also buy the guide directly. But that is going to be it for this one. We will be releasing the next one here, which is going to be Calm in just a bit. But we'll see you on the next one.